Okay, folks, so this is your value added content. This is a bit of stuff that I learned when I was in classes myself, which wasn't all that long ago. I don't know if ever covered this in class or not, but I actually didn't get my bachelor's degree in IT until I was actually the week I turned 40. And then my master's degree, which came shortly thereafter, um, about 4 years after that. So, excuse me. So a lot of the things I had to do in college are stuff that you guys are working with now. And one of the things that saved me a ton of time was using some of the tools that I'm going to show you guys now in Word, specifically the citation tool. Again, this is value added. This is anything the course is really going to cover, but this is something that saved me a ton of time working in Word. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a couple things you can do here. What I'm going to do is go ahead and do a search for a template here. And since I did a lot of research papers, I'm going to do a search for APA template. Because the main style you're going to have is APA, or MLA, depending on what you're working on. APA is usually reserved for research papers. MLA is usually something to do with English literature, along those lines. And then you'll have things like some oddball ones like Chicago, which is history majors will use that, and I believe some journalism as well. But I'm going to do APA. You can also search for templates for either of any of those. So let me open this. I'm going to go with the 6th edition. And I actually keep this on my computer. And then when I'm making a new paper, I change the name from the APA template. I save it as mine. And then I go through and I start editing things. Now, what I normally do, you'll get the hang of working with this. I usually omit those things that I don't use. So I very rarely include an author's note, so I'll just, zap that out. The running head is going to be in the header section, which you guys should have learned about just now. So you have the title character up here. You have then you have these directions for title, the author's name, and all of the rest of that that you would do for yourself. So I would normally set this up for my papers in the school that I'm working in, and then I would just come in here and change the title for the different papers that I was writing. But this way, I would have my front page automatically done for me. And then you can leave the sections in here, but this isn't really why I have it. The reason I choose to do the template is it has the borders are set up correctly. The fonts are set up correctly. The tabs are set up correctly. All of the different little things that the APA style or the MLA style already are included. Okay. So you have the heading ones, heading level ones are centered in the page. Heading level 2s are off to the side. I'll come back to headings because that's not what my main purpose is here for today. But you can see that all that stuff is here. So you can actually, once you go through and kind of look at all of this, I just go ahead and delete it all. Because since you have the template, it's all there. So if you use a heading 3, it already knows it's left justified, indented 1. The borders are already set. So as long as you're not changing any of those, you're fine. But the main tool I want to show you guys how to do, and let's bring this up to full size here, is, as I mentioned, the citation tool. And you'll find the citation tool here in References. And here is where you can choose the style of paper that you're working on. So APA, Chicago, all these different types, MLA, all these different types of citations that you can use. Now, this is the downloaded version. it's very similar to the online version. There are some couple of changes that you are notable, but well, let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to leave it as an APA because this is an APA paper. And let's come up here to, so the first thing I would do is go in and get your sources. So take a look here. These are all the sources I have used over time writing papers since this has been installed on my computer. So you'll see I have stuff from the University of California, the U.S. Department of Education, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the advantage you have over on the installed version is that it remembers all of these. Okay, so when you enter this information in, it stays in your master list, so that when you start going in and saying, okay, I'm going to use this from CompTIA, I copy this over to the current list. I'm going to use this from the Microsoft Press. I'm going to use this from UC Merced, and it starts populating this current list. Okay, these are references that I'm going to use in my paper. Okay, if I have a new one, then I can come over here and click New, and then this is very simply how you create a new resource, a new paper, a new book. You have books, a section of a book, a journal article, periodicals, so your standard magazine, conference proceedings, a report, a website, a document, so from a website, so like a PDF, some other electronic source like a podcast, a piece of art, sound recording, performances. So all of these different things you can do, and you can just choose what you want to do. So let's say if I'm doing a website, now it pulls up all of the information that a APA citation is going to want. Now, do you have to include them all? You can only include what you have. Okay, not all websites are going to list the author. For example, it might be, if you're going to the IRS website, it's not going to cite the IRS website. It's not going to cite the author, the employee who wrote the paper, because odds are it wasn't written by a single employee. It was probably written by a committee. So what you can do in that case is put in that you're doing this from a corporate author, and then you would say, for example, IRS or the Internal Revenue Service. Oops. Okay, so you put the company's name there. You put the name of the web page. Now, there's a difference between a web page and a website. The website would be something like, in this case, irs.gov. Okay, the web page is the title of the actual page that you are on. So if it's, I don't know, if you're looking up the standard deduction, or you're looking up the any number of things, every page on those sites is going to have a title. You would put the title of that page in that page title. If it has a year, month, and date since it was last updated, you put that information in there. If it isn't there, it isn't there. You can't put it in. And then you put the URL. So you copy and paste from the address bar into the URL right here. Okay. And then you just click OK, and it will remember it will record all of these choices. And again, you can do this on everything from a book or a section of a book or anything like that. And it will show you what you need as a minimum. Now, if you want to have more, you can show all the bibliography fields, and it can have all of this information. But generally speaking, you can just leave with the standard. Now, if it is not a corporate author, but you have multiple authors, you can come in here and edit, and then you put the first, last, and middle initials, and you will put them in the order that you need them to be. It's very important that you have the right order of the authors on the paper. And once you have the 2 or 3 or whatever, you can move them up and down to change them into the proper order. And you put the last, first, and middle initial. And again, it will set it up the way it's supposed to be for the style of paper that you are working on. I'm going to go back to my corporate author here. Okay. So there I go. Okay. So what I would do at the beginning of my paper is I would go through and I will create my sources. Where am I pulling my information from? Now, Do I have to do that first? No. I do it because it makes my life easier. But that's because that's the way my brain works. If you're one of those people that try and do your paper on the fly and then go look for resources, don't recommend that, by the way. Then you can do this as you go and on the fly. But it's really easy to have here. So you'll notice right down here it says if there's a check mark, if this this particular source is cited in your paper, and I will show that to you in a minute. So let's close this out. So say I'm writing my paper, la da 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 da. Oh, this is a quote. I have a quote right here, and I need to. Oh, it's not letting me get into here, and I need to add a reference. Okay, I would come up here. I would insert citation, and here are all of those sources that I moved over into my source list. I can add a new source. I can add a placeholder as well. So if I need to add a new one, since I'm typing on the fly, I can add a new source right here. If I want to put a placeholder saying, oh, I have a source for this, I just don't have time to look it up. You can insert the placeholder and come back to it later. But okay, so let's take a look at CompTIA, okay, since I have that already. So I'm going to insert a citation from CompTIA, and here it is, automatically puts it in there for me, okay? And this is proper APA format based on what I have. If I'm citing a book, I can edit my citation and put in page numbers. Okay. So if it's a book or periodical or anything like that, I can put in the page numbers and that will be included in the citation. This happens to be a website, so it won't have that. So you can come through and then basically all your citations are just a matter of coming in here and saying, this is all block text. Unfortunately, I'd have to delete it. So let's put some gobbledygook. Okay, and then I'm going to insert another citation. I'm going to insert one from the Microsoft Press. And again, you'll see it has the right Microsoft Press. You'll also notice that when I go over these, they change color. This is so that when you actually publish these pages, these papers, and someone reads it in a digital format, they can actually click on these links and it will take them to your table of references, which we will get to in just a second. Especially if you've converted it to a PDF, works really slick. So that is how I set up my sources. I set up the style that I'm going to do, and I insert the citation. Now, you can then come over here to the reference page. Okay. The reference page is going to be your last page. You're going to, after the end of the page, you're going to put a page break, which you do by putting insert and then page break, so that your reference table is always by itself on a page. You do not want it, your last paragraph and then references. Your references are going to be on the final page all by themselves. So let's go back to our references here. So I'm going to get rid of this one actually. You guys are hearing Max. So okay, I'll show you what I just did was hit update citations in bibliography. So you'll notice that all of my references are included here now. Okay, it pulls them all from my sources and it puts them in proper APA format for this paper. All of this work, making sure that it's all in the right format, all ordered correctly, all the little details that they want, all taken care of right here. Okay, it saves you a ton of time, and you make sure you're done it correctly. So if I want to get rid of this and start from scratch, so oops, I'm going to just go ahead and delete this and the footnotes. I'm going to insert. So here I'm inserting my page break. So I've got a fresh new page. I go over to references and I can insert a, excuse me. I am going to insert my bibliography. So I can do a bibliography, I can do references, I can do works cited. Okay, bibliography, these are three different things. If you're writing a paper and you want to do works cited, which is usually what I do, again, it will automatically put this in. And if later on, and again, that's it, you're done. Your works have been cited. If by chance you go back and you're revising your paper, you add some more citations, you just come over here, click on the paper, click on your works cited, update the citations. It goes out and looks for any more new sources and puts them in the paper for you. It's very, very slick. Okay. Then if you have to change style, you can change the style to MLA, and you'll notice the works cited changes to MLA format, as well as how the citations appear in your paper. You'll notice the CompTIA no longer has the year after it anymore. My little reference here also does not have the year anymore. So that is proper MLA format. So you can do that on the fly. So it's a very, very powerful tool for a student. I have used this a lot with making presentations to, excuse me, to board members and other things where I want to be able to have my sizes sorted, my sources cited, and easily accessible. So there you go. There's your value-added content for today. The online tool has much of the same functionality, and I'll have to beg off the last time I've used it. You could not save your sources like this. So, these are all papers, sources that I've used for reports and analysis since I installed Word on this particular computer. If you are on Office 365, I don't believe it will save your sources from paper to paper. So once your paper it will save it for the paper you're working on, so you don't have to do it all at once. But once that paper is done, it doesn't save it for the next paper like this does. And again, you'll notice that it will put a check mark. Yeah, I actually use this source. So you don't want to put in a source into your sources cited or your bibliography that you didn't use. Okay, so if you did not use this last name, first name, make sure to delete it out. If you delete it out over here, that's fine. It gets deleted out over here. It's still in your references on the left-hand side here, so you can use it later. Okay, so that is the citation tool. Hopefully that will save you some time, help you get things done a little bit easier. If by chance, well, we'll talk about that another time. Oh, you can say hi to Max. Say hi, Max. I don't know if you guys saw him before. That's my buddy. It's my little buddy, Max. Okay, so hopefully this helped, and then save you a little bit of time, help you get your papers in proper order, and then I will talk to you all later.